The first question. People of almost all the religions try to convince other people to follow their respective religions. But I have met many of your followers and they always discourage me from adopting the way you are preaching. Why so? The first thing what I am teaching is not a religion, but a religiousness. A religion is a creed, a dogma, an ideology. It is intellectual. You can be convinced about it. Arguments can be given. Proofs can be supplied. You can be silenced. Argumentation is a kind of violence, a very subtle violence. It is trying to manipulate you, control you, and enslave you. And all the religions have been doing that for thousands of years. It is a subtle strategy to create mental slavery. What I am doing here has nothing to do with religion at all. It is a kind of religiousness. No belief, no dogma, no church. It is a love affair. You cannot be convinced of it. Do you think Majnu can convince others about the beauty of Laila? It is impossible. Nobody can convince anybody else about his love affair. It is far more deeper than the intellect. It is of the heart. And the heart knows no arguments, no proofs. It is simply so. One can dance, one can sing, but one cannot prove. One can shout with joy. One can say Alleluia. But those are not arguments, not convincing. The story about Majnu is very significant. It is a Sufi story. It is not an ordinary love story as people have been thinking about it. It is an allegory. Majnu fell in love with a woman called Laila, who was not beautiful according to others. According to the public opinion, she was very ordinary, homely. Not only that, but ugly too. And Majnu was mad. So mad that the very name of Majnu has become synonymous with madness. He was continuously praying to God, continuously moving around the city, asking people for help, because he was a poor man, and the woman he had fallen in love belonged to an aristocratic family. Even to see her from far away was not easy. It was a mountain country. In a mountain country, it is very difficult to see even the face of the woman. Seeing his agony, his anguish, even the king became a little concerned. He called Majnu. He felt great compassion for him. He told him that I know that woman. That family is well known to me. And if Laila had been a beautiful woman, she would have been part of my harem. I have not chosen her. She is not worth choosing. I have got all the beautiful women from all over the country, and I feel so much for you that I will give you a chance. You can choose any woman from my harem, and that will be yours. And he called the most beautiful women. Majnu looked at each woman minutely and said, "This is not Laila." Again and again he passed a dozen women, and the same was the remark, "This is not Laila." The king said, "You must have gone utterly crazy. Laila is nothing compared to these beautiful women. You can choose any. I know your Laila. I have known the most beautiful women of the world, and my women are one of the greatest that has ever been on the earth." Majnu said, "But you don't understand me. And I can understand that you cannot understand me. It is not a question of choosing somebody else. The choice is not within my hands. It has happened already. The heart has chosen. I am nobody. I cannot interfere in it. The mind is only the circumference. The heart is the center. The center has chosen. How the circumference can interfere? And moreover, forgive me for saying so, because you have been so kind. I still insist that there has never been a woman like Laila, and there will never be again. But to see the beauty of Laila, you need the eyes of a Majnu. And you don't have those eyes, so nothing can be done about it. You have to see her through my eyes. Only then you will be able to see the grandeur, the splendor of her being." Remember these words. To see the beauty of Laila, you need the eyes of a Majnu. This is not a religion. The people who have gathered around me are lovers, not intellectually convinced with what I am saying, but existentially convinced of what I am. It is a question not to be decided by the mind, but something to be felt. That's why my people never try to convince anybody, knowing perfectly well that you don't have the eyes of a Majnu. What is the point of going into hair-splitting logic? It is futile. They know perfectly well that it is not their intellect that has made them part of my Buddha field. It is their heart. Something has started ringing in their heart. A bell has started ringing in their heart. Their heart has felt a new release of energy, a new dance, a new melody has been heard. Not a new argument, but a new melody. Their heart was asleep, now it is awake. Their heart was like a desert, now the spring has come. Now roses are flowering, bees are humming. Their inner being is transformed. It is religiousness. Religiousness happens only when a Buddha or a Krishna or a Mahavira or a Christ is alive. When Christ dies, there is religion. Religion is the corpse of religiousness. It looks like the real person. When a person dies, he looks exactly like he was when he was alive. Just something very small is missing. He is no more breathing. Otherwise, everything is perfectly good. And you can paint his face, and you can put his hairs in a beautiful style. You can give him beautiful garments. And he may look very young and very alive with red cheeks. Everything can be done. In the West it has become an art. How to paint the dead man, how to make him look alive, but it is only an appearance. The real is no more there. It is only a cage, maybe a golden cage, but the bird has flown away. When religiousness dies, religion is born. Religiousness breathes. Religion is a corpse. But many people feel good with religion. In fact, the majority, 99.9% people feel good with religion because it is not dangerous at all. What the corpse can do to you? You can do anything to the corpse, but the corpse cannot do anything to you. The corpse is within your hands. But when religion is alive and breathing, that's what I mean by religiousness, then you are possessed by it. You cannot possess it. You cannot possess a Buddha or Lao Tzu or Zarathustra. You cannot possess Bahauddin, Jalaluddin, Al-Hillaz Mansur. No, that is not possible. These are people who have known the ultimate freedom. How can you possess them? They cannot fulfill your expectations. They cannot move according to you. They will have their own way. If it suits you, you have to be with them. You will not be able to force them to be with you. There is no way possible. The truth cannot be with you. You have to be with the truth. But the lie is in your hands. You can manipulate it. You can make it look the way you want it to look. You can give it colors. You can cut it. You can give it form and shape. You can make it fit with your unconscious life. You can be a Hindu. It does not disturb your unconsciousness. You can be a Mohammedan. It makes no transformation in you. You can be a Buddhist with no trouble at all, with no danger, with no insecurity. But to be with a Buddha is to walk on fire. All that is non-essential in you will be burned, and only the essential will survive, and the essential is very small in you. So much of you is false and is going to die. To be with a Buddha means a death. Life comes afterwards, but death comes first. First resurrection is not possible. It can be followed only if crucifixion has happened. It comes after the crucifixion. To be with a master is to be ready to die and ready to be born anew. Religion is consolation, confirmation. Religiousness is revolution, rebellion. Ajay Krishna Lakhanpal has asked a long question about the Sufis who have died in the past. Muinuddin Chishti, Nijamuddin Aulia, Baba Jan and others. And he has asked about their mazars, their graves. Have they any power? He is a worshipper of these mazars, worshipper of graves. And he is asking me, are not they still vibrating with the energy of those great mystics? Being here with me, he has no courage, no guts to be a sannyasi. But he goes to Ajmer to pay his respects to somebody who was alive few hundred years before. And I know perfectly, if Muinuddin Chishti was alive today, Ajay Krishna Lakhanpal would not have gone there at all. And even if he had gone there, he would have asked about Kaaba, Bodh Gaya, the graves of Buddha, Mahavira, Christ. Asking Muinuddin about the graves of other enlightened people is such an stupidity. But it looks that you are asking a religious question. Being here with me, if you cannot risk, then of course you have to go worshipping graves. And if you cannot feel the energy here, where else you can feel the energy? All that energy is your projection and nothing else. And I am not saying that there is not any energy. But that energy can only be felt by those who have felt it with someone who is still alive. If you can feel the energy here, if you can get in harmony with this energy, you may be able to feel it at the dargah of Muinuddin Chishti in Ajmer. But if you cannot feel it here, you cannot feel it there. That is impossible. If you cannot see God in man, how can you see God in a rock? First you have to see God in man. Only then your insight will deepen and you will be able to see God in the rock too. First you have to be in contact with a living religiousness. Then all religions become true in a new sense. Otherwise they are just corpses, but they are comfortable. You can go and offer flowers and you can bow down, and the grave cannot do anything to you. You can come with good feelings that you have done something great, and you are the same old fool. Nothing has happened to you. At the most, you are a little more foolish than you were before, because now you are a religious fool. Before you were just an ordinary fool. Now you have some pretensions of religion too. Now you will come home with that hearty feeling of holier than thou, just by going to a grave. And let me remind you, I am not saying that those graves have nothing. They have much, but only for those who have eyes. If you cannot see in a living Sufi, in a living master, you are blind. You cannot see in a grave at all. But graves are good, because you are also dead, and there is a certain adjustment. You are dead, the grave is dead. It feels very good in the right company. You are a ghost, and you would like very good to live with the ghosts. You ask me, people of almost all the religions try to convince other people to follow their respective religions. Why they try to convince other people? That's a significant thing to ask. You may be surprised. They are not really trying to convince others. By convincing others, they are trying to convince themselves that we are not wrong. When they are able to convince somebody that my religion is right, again they feel at ease. So I am not wrong. Look, even somebody who never had belonged to my religion is convinced. Christians go on converting all over the world. The only reason is that they are not convinced of Christ yet. The ancient two religions in the world have been non-converting religions, the Jews and the Hindus. The Jews never converted anybody. They were so utterly convinced that there was no need to convince anybody else. The Hindus never tried to convince anybody. And these are the oldest religions in the world. In fact, all other religions are, in a sense, branches. Christianity, Islam are branches of Judaism. Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism are branches of Hinduism. The most ancient traditions have been non-converting. Why? The reason was they were very much convinced. They were so ancient. They were not in need of new converts. Their very ancientness gave them enough ground to be convinced that we are right. Not that they were right, but they had this illusion of being right because of their long heritage, going into prehistoric times, and they had the ancient most scriptures, and that was enough for them. That was serving their purpose. But Christianity was a new religion. Christ had to start from ABC. Buddhism was new. He had to start from ABC. Mohammedanism was new. Muhammad had to start from ABC. He had nothing behind him to fall upon. The only way for the Mohammedans was to convert others. They were substituting tradition by converting people and creating a great mass of followers. That was their way of convincing themselves. Hindus and Jews were convincing themselves in a different way. But Christians, Mohammedans, Buddhists could not do that. That was not possible for them. That avenue was closed. They had to open a new door. They became converting religions. And the most unconvinced of all these were the Christians. For the simple reason, because Jews had crucified Jesus. No, there was a great fear in the followers. When Jesus left the world, the followers were in a deep darkness. Their founder was crucified with two criminals, two thieves on both his sides. He was treated like a criminal, and he could not manage to do any miracle on the cross. There was great shaking of the foundations. They were very sick. They were not grounded. They were very much afraid. Who knows? We have fallen in a wrong trap. Jesus may not have been the right Messiah. Because Jews could not recognize him. Great scholars, rabbis, saints, they could not recognize him at all. Who knows? That doubt persisted. The only way to destroy that doubt was to convert as many people into Christianity as possible. If we can convert the whole earth, then it will be a proof that we are right. People think that majority numbers prove whether you are right or wrong. Now numbers you can have in two ways. Either you can count the past, all the people that had gone before you. You can count them. That is one way. The other way is you have to count the people who are already alive. If the door for tradition is closed, then you have to convert the contemporaries. Christians became great converters, and they have almost converted half of the humanity. Still, some wound remains. Still the doubt has not disappeared, because this is not the way to make it disappear. The heart has not yet become convinced. Still the doubt persists, the shadow lingers on. Christians go on writing thousands of books proving still that Jesus was the right Messiah. What is the point? Whom you are trying to convince? Jews you cannot convince. You have tried 2000 years and you have not been successful. Hindus are not at all interested whether Jesus was the right Messiah or wrong. Jains are not interested. Buddhists are not interested. Whom you are trying to convince? You are trying to convince yourself. You must have known this psychological phenomenon when you are going into a dark night alone into the forest. You start whistling or singing a song, as if by singing a song the danger is averted, or by whistling is going to help, but in a psychological way it does something. When you start whistling, you forget all about the fear, because the mind can do only one thing at a time. When you are whistling, you forget the fear. Moreover, when you start whistling, you start hearing also the whistle. And when you start hearing the whistle, it gives you the fallacy as if somebody else is there who is whistling. And that makes you feel a little at ease. It is the same phenomenon. Christians are still whistling, still doubtful. And they have to be doubtful. And they are responsible for their doubts. To prove to the Jews that Jesus is the right Messiah, they have to brag lies. For example, that he was born out of a virgin mother. That is sheer nonsense. Now, how can you ever be convinced of it? You may turn the whole earth into Christianity. Still the doubt will persist. Any man who has even a little bit of intelligence can see the point that this is stupid. Jesus cannot be born out of a virgin mother. And then they have been telling that Jesus raised the dead, cured the blind, but he could not prove anything on the cross where the right test was. When 100,000 people had gathered to see the miracle, and he has been doing all these small miracles only before his disciples, and they were not many. He had only 12 apostles, and they were all villagers, uneducated, fishermen, woodcutters, carpenters, farmers, gardeners, simple people. He walked on water before these people. He raised the dead before these people. He cured the blind before these people. And then 100,000 people, the most educated and the sophisticated in Jerusalem, had gathered. All the rabbis and all the scholars and all the professors. He could not do anything. He was thirsty. He could not even produce a cup of water for himself. And he had done miracles like transforming the whole sea into wine. He was thirsty and begging for water. He was dying. And even a great doubt has arisen in his own mind. Whether I am the Messiah or not. Whether I am really the Son of God or not. And he asked God, have you forsaken me? Why have you forsaken me? Is this the point to leave me alone, to betray me? And I lived whole of my life in trust. Why are you not doing something to save me? And nothing happened. The sky remained silent. No miracle. And the people must have gone laughing home. They must have enjoyed the picnic. They all laughed. It must have been the topic for a few days of the town. And people must have giggled about the whole affair. That this man was a fool, a pretender. Christians have not yet forgotten it. The wound has gone deep. They are trying to cover it up. Muhammad came still later. He just came 1400 years before. By that time, the humanity was almost divided. It was very difficult to find converts. Of course, when he was alive, he turned many people on. But the moment he was gone, it was impossible for his followers to find converts. And as far as arguments are concerned, Mohammedans cannot argue with the Buddhists. And Buddhism had reached the Middle Asia. By that time, there were temples of Buddha all over Asia, particularly in the Middle Asia. Now, to argue with Buddhist logicians is the most difficult thing. The Buddhist logicians and the philosophers have touched the highest possibility of intellectual grasp. It is impossible to argue with the Jaina philosophers. Even Pythagoras remembers them. He met them in Egypt. He calls them Genosophists. And he describes them that they were naked people, and with such intelligence they argued that it was impossible to refute them. It is very difficult to refute Buddhists, Jainas. It is very difficult to prove that Muhammad was a greater miracle man than Jesus. Then Mohammedans were in a difficulty. The only way was the sword. Intellect was not going to work. So they started cutting people's heads. If you cannot cut their arguments, cut their heads. Because might is right. They went on a rampage. They killed thousands, murdered, butchered, and converted people forcibly. For your sake, of course. For your own good. Because if you are not a Mohammedan, you are not going to achieve paradise. You will fall into hell. They were trying hard to save you. But in fact, they were trying simply to convince themselves that Muhammad is not lesser than Buddha, or Jesus, or Mahavira, or Krishna. My people are not interested in converting anybody because they don't have any doubts. They are here with me, not to be convinced. They are here with me because they are already convinced as far as their heart is concerned. And if they are not convinced, they are free to leave. There is no need to be here at all. I am not interested in the masses and the crowds. I am interested only in the chosen few. I am only interested in the spiritually aristocratic. The very few intelligent people. So if your heart is dancing with me, good. If it is not dancing with me, then this is not the right place for you. You are free to leave. And my people will never try to convince anybody, at least while I am alive. When I am gone, nothing can be done about it. Then there is no guarantee. While I am alive, they will not try to convince anybody. But without any of my people convincing you, you have come here. That is far more important. Something of their joy has caught you. Some glimpse in their eyes has touched you. Something is special in their vibe has brought you here. This would not have been possible if they had argued. Argument is very gross, and the work of real energy is very subtle. I receive thousands of letters from all over the world. That something is strange is certainly there in your orange people. They don't argue. They are not like Jehovah's Witnesses. They are not like Hare Krishna people, always carrying the Bhagavad Gita and trying to force things into your head whether you are willing or not. They don't interfere in anybody's life, but their non-interference is far more effective. That shows that they have found something. That shows that they have discovered something. Their very being is vibrant with their discovery. They are joyous, they are happy, they are cheerful. They are living their life as creatively as possible. Now all kinds of creativities are happening here. There are dancing groups, there are music groups, there is a theatre group, there is an art group, and soon there will be many more sculptors, architects, scientists, poets, novelists. Everybody is going to be here, and they will all share their joy by creativity. If their creativity can convince you, then that is a totally different matter. If their very life can become a light to you, that is a totally different thing. But they are not going to force anybody. I am not in favor of coercing people. You ask me, people of almost all the religions try to convince other people to follow their respective religions. They are religions, and this is only a religiousness. At least right now, it is only a religiousness. It is only a quality, vague, fluid, flowing, dynamic. It has not become stagnant yet. It can become stagnant only when I am gone. While I am alive, I will go on stirring. I will never allow you to settle anywhere. I will go on and on, calling you for new adventures, challenging you for new explorations. You also say, but I have met many of your followers and they always discourage me from adopting the way you are preaching. They are not my followers, just my friends. To be a follower is ugly. I am not a leader. So how you can be a follower? For you to be a follower, first I have to be a leader. And that very word is ugly. I am nobody's leader. I am just living my life, doing my thing. And the people who enjoy in being with me, they are welcome. It is a friendship. We are fellow travelers. Maybe there is a little difference. I am awake and they are asleep. So what? I was asleep. Now I am awake. They are asleep. Tomorrow they will be awake. Their very sleep proves only one thing, that they have the capacity to be awake. And I don't disturb anybody's sleep prematurely. When I see the person is anyhow going to wake up, then I just give him a little nudge. I don't nag people. I don't go on nagging them. Wake up, wake up. Because if you nag too much a sleepy person to wake up, he may start dreaming that he has awakened. That is the difficulty. Because the mind can create all kinds of dreams. It can even create the dream that one is awakened, that one is enlightened. And to few people, even here it happens. Now Siddhartha is here from Germany. It is happening to him. In his dream, he has become enlightened. Or approximately. And be aware, when a German becomes enlightened, then he becomes perfectly enlightened. Just few days before I was talking about proper Sagar, the perfect Englishman. And somebody has asked me, do you know Bhagwan why he is perfect? I know, but I cannot tell it to you. Because he will feel very offended, very offended. He is so perfect an Englishman that if I tell you the truth, he will be very offended. If you promise me not to tell anybody, then I can share it. Really he is a German, pretending to be an Englishman. No Englishman can defeat him. There are hundreds of Englishmen here. Has anybody the guts to defeat proper Sagar? Impossible. When a German tries to be anybody, he is always perfect. To be German means to be perfect. They are synonymous. So it is happening in Germany. Siddhartha is dreaming that he has become enlightened. And I go on playing jokes. I have given him one of my chairs. And one of my robes. So with my robe, he sits on the chair. And being a German, he is very methodological. On one side sits a woman who is Mukta. On another side, two women. One is Vivek, another is Lakshmi. In front of Lakshmi, a man, Shiva. Germans do things perfectly. Another German, Gunakar, is here. Siddhartha is very simple. Nice guy. But Gunakar is an advocate, a great legal expert. So he is going more methodologically, more legally. Now he has enclosed himself in a room, just the way I live in a room. He lives in a room. He does not come out. He does not write. He has got a secretary. And of course a woman. He does not allow anybody to touch his body. The reason why Shiva is preventing people touching my feet has nothing to do with enlightenment. Just my toes are in a difficulty. And to touch my toes hurts them badly. So Shiva has to prevent people. Gunakar must have watched that nobody is allowed to touch. So Gunakar has prevented people to touch him because his energy gets disturbed. And both are here. So if you try people to wake up in their sleep, the great danger is they may wake up, but not really, only in sleep. They may dream that they are awake, and they may start playing in their dreams the games of all kinds of enlightenment, spirituality, religiousness. One has to be very aware not to disturb anybody before the right time. So I persuade you, I seduce you towards awakening, but I am not in a hurry. It cannot be done in a hurry. I have to wait, and when I see that you are just coming out of your sleep, only then, just a little shaking helps, and you are fully awake. Even if you were not shaken up at the last moment, you may have been awake, maybe a little later, just a question of time. The master has to be watchful, not to be in a hurry, because sometimes it happens. You see people in misery and you would like to help them immediately, but to help them immediately may harm them more if they are not ready to wake up. So my people are not my followers. They are just my friends, my lovers. They have fallen in love with me. And as you know, love is blind. It is not a logical thing. So how can they convince you? They have not connected themselves with me through logic. It has been an illogical jump. They can only share their joy with you. And if that brings you here, it is good. And certainly they will say to you not to follow me, because that's exactly my teaching is. Not to follow me, because each individual is unique. Nobody has to become an imitator. And they will discourage you from adopting the way I am preaching. They will discourage so that you can find yourself. Otherwise, people are very willing to believe. Belief is so cheap that it costs nothing. You can believe. My people will discourage you from believing, from following, from adopting the way I am teaching. If you become interested, you have to come here and explore yourself. It is an exploration. It is an adventure into the unknown. It is going beyond the familiar, beyond that which can be comprehended, beyond that mind can cope with. It is a journey into the beyond. It is very delicate, far more delicate than the petals of rose. You can destroy it very easily. Any coercive effort and it is destroyed. So they bring you here without any coercion, without any logic. They only invite you, that too not directly, very indirectly. And they will discourage you to follow me. Because it is not a question of following me. The real question is following your own light. All that I can help you to is the way that reaches to your own innermost light. I can show you the way. And when you have found your light, you will have to live your own life. It will not be Christian, it will not be Hindu, it will not be Mohammedan. It will be simply your life, nobody else. The second question. I have heard you know something about this guy Murphy and some of his golden rules. Please tell us some. I don't know much about this guy Murphy, but I don't know much about anything else either. I am not a man of knowledge. I function from a state of not knowing. And I have found that that is the most beautiful space to function. I have heard few golden rules of this guy Murphy. So I will tell you a few of his golden rules. George Bernard Shaw has written a beautiful book, Maxims for a Revolutionary. The first maxim is a beautiful one. The first golden rule is that there are no golden rules. But Murphy has improved upon it. George Bernard's would have appreciated very much. Murphy's first golden rule is, whoever has the gold makes the rules. Second, never think of the future, it comes soon enough. Third, for every credibility gap, there is a gullibility fill. Fourth, youth looks ahead, old age looks back, middle age looks worried. Fifth, youth is when you blame all your troubles on your parents. Maturity is when you learn that everything is the fault of the younger generation. Sixth, the best thing about the good old days is that they cannot come back. Seventh, being frustrated is disagreeable, but the real disasters in life begin when you get what you want. Eighth, the solution to a problem changes the problem. Ninth, almost anything is easier to get into than out of. 10th, beauty is only skin deep, ugly goes to the bone. 11th, celibacy is not hereditary. 11th, friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. And 12th, if you think education is experience, try ignorance. The last question. Yesterday in lecture you said that laughter was natural. I have also heard you say that what is natural is easy and right. Why do I find it so difficult to laugh even at your jokes? Laughter is natural, but you are not natural. Hence the meeting cannot happen. You will have to be natural too. And yes, I say what is natural is easy and right. And because you are not natural, you are not either easy or right. Your whole upbringing makes you artificial, arbitrary. It destroys your nature. It imposes something else that others want. It imposes the opinions of others upon you. There are vested interests. They would like you to be in a certain way. They don't want you to be natural. They are afraid of nature. Somewhere deep down in man, there is fear of nature. That fear of nature has created many problems. It has created an ugly civilization, a rotten culture, an anti-natural technology, a science against ecology, a religion which is not in tune with your innermost being. It is time for men to revolt against all this that has happened to humanity in the past. But why man is afraid of nature? There are reasons. First is, nature is bigger than your ego. And if nature is allowed, the ego cannot be in control. Then nature will control you. And then you will not feel you are in control. And you would like to be in control. So rather than being natural, you repress your nature and you clean only a smallest part of your being, only 1/10 of your being, which can be controlled by the ego. Then you feel the master. You are the master. With nature, you are not the master. You are nobody. With nature, you are nowhere. You don't exist at all. And the ego creates everything. The ego creates morality. And morality is against nature. For example, what can you do if you fall in love with a woman who is not your wife? That falling in love is natural. But you have to look to other things. Your marriage, your prestige, your respectability, your society, your religion, your future, your salary, your job, your business, not only in this world, but in the other world too. You will have to answer to God why you fell in love. It is better to prevent nature, to close nature completely, so you remain confined in the rules and regulations of your society, culture, religion. You are taught ambitiousness, and nature is non-ambitious. Nature has no instinct in it to be the president of a country or to be the prime minister of a country. Nature would like to dance, sing, love, eat, sleep, go for swimming, take a sun bath. But nature will not bother to become a president of a country. Nature is not so stupid. Who wants to become President Reagan? A third-rate film actor. Has become the President of America. Now all third-rate people in the world will be feeling great. And all third-rate people will be feeling that now they can also make it. All kinds of stupid fools, mediocre people become so prominent that if you want to be prominent, you have to be mediocre. And nature is very intelligent. It is not mediocre. It is not stupid. It is tremendously clear, clean, transparent. You have to destroy its transparency. And then naturally you become sad. Then you cannot laugh. Laughter becomes impossible. Because laughter is a natural phenomenon. You can be sad, you can be miserable. That is not natural. That is cultivated. You cannot laugh because you are not natural. Relax and drop all that is unnatural in you. All pretensions, pseudo coverings, masks. Be just ordinary. To be ordinary is the greatest thing in the world. Let me say it in this way. To be ordinary is the most extraordinary thing in the world. Why it is the most extraordinary? Because the desire to be extraordinary is very ordinary. Hence, to be ordinary is really extraordinary. Only very few people have been able to manage it up to now. Just be ordinary and laughter will come to you. Unless it has gone very deep in you. Unless Kevla, you have been brought up by Catholics, Jainas, or some other kind of unnatural way of life. Unless you are an ex-nun, then it will be difficult. But not impossible, because I have destroyed many nuns here. Now even if you try to find, you will be surprised. You will not be able to find monks and nuns. If you want to know a really destroyed nun, meet Chintana. She has been a great nun, and when she had come, it was impossible for her to laugh. And now, I think she is the most beautiful laughing woman around here. Whenever she comes to see me, I always tell her to go into gibberish. She is the most perfect in gibberish. She makes such beautiful sounds, meaningless. She starts speaking all kinds of languages nobody understands. But she goes it in really passionately, deep. One could not have ever thought that a nun will do this. How do nuns and monks make love? Out of habit. Are you a nun? Then drop the habit. Or perhaps you are in a more dangerous water, you may be a Polak. To be a nun is only a question of few years of conditioning, but to be a Polak needs many incarnations. Have you heard the story of the Polak lesbian? She loved men. The Polak patient lying on the operating table whispers to the surgical mask doctor, "You can take your mask off now, doctor. I have recognized you." In a school in Poland, the teacher asks, "Has any of you ever saved somebody's life?" A little boy raises his arm. "Yes, my little nephews." "How did it happen?" "Tell us," asks the teacher. The little Polak says, "I hid my sister's birth control pills." The unmarried Polak cleaning woman had a baby. When asked by social worker about the father of the child, she replied curtly, "Do know, you think I turn around every time I clean the stairs?" The phone is ringing at the desk of MD. He picks it up and hears the desperate voice of a Polak woman. "Hello doc, did I leave my underpants in your room after the medical examination?" "No," replies the MD. "They are not here." Half an hour later she calls again. "Hello doc, it is me again. Don't worry anymore. I have found them. They were at the dentist." Come out of your unnaturalness. Come out of your Polakness. Laughter is one of the most important things in life. The person who misses laughter is going to miss God too. I can tell you categorically that when you will reach to God, He is not going to ask what sins you have committed and what virtues you have done. He will ask, have you brought some new jokes? He always asks that. He must be getting tired. Since eternity he is sitting there doing nothing. Of course the grass grows by itself, but what can you do with the grass? One gets tired seeing the grass growing by itself. Collect few beautiful jokes before you leave this body. Listen to my suggestion. I am really serious about it. Enough for today.